stories from around the corner
and around the country.
You're listening to All the Best.
Proudly supported by the Art Gallery of New South Wales.
You're listening to All the Best from FBI Radio 94.5. I'm Madhura Prakash. Before we get into this week's stories, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that I'm recording from stolen Gadigal land and pay my respect to Gadigal elders past and present, and also recognize that the area where FBI Radio is situated, Redfern, has long been a place of storytelling, strength, resistance, and resilience for First Nations communities. You're listening to All the Best from FBI Radio 94.5. I'm Madhura Prakash. Have you ever tried to finish something that should take around a week in like a day? This week, we're playing stories from our 24-hour radio challenge, in which producers are tasked with creating entire audio stories from scratch in a day. This year, we had people participating here at the FBI studios in Sydney, but also down in Naarm and even overseas as far as Italy and the UK. First up, Cristina Marras takes us into a recurring dream.
I had that dream again. At first, it is all dark around me. Then I see a red light in the distance. I do not know what it is. It could be the eye of an evil creature. But then, as I walk into the darkness, I realize that the light is not a light. Or maybe it is a light, but it has morphed, as things often change in dreams. As I get closer, I realize that the red light spells a word: on air. Now I see it clearly. It is a recording studio, but it is underground. I mean, this could be just any normal windowless studio, but I know, as people just know in a dream, I know that I am beneath the surface, that above me there are layers of stone, concrete, dirt. I walk, but I cannot hear my steps because the sound is swallowed up by the darkness around. Now I am in front of the studio door and I can hear a voice. Someone is talking. And soon I realize that it is me speaking into the mic. I cannot understand what I'm saying, and I struggle to understand because I know that what I'm saying is important. But no matter how much I try, nothing. I cannot make out the meaning. Frustrated, I start banging my fist against the door. That is when I usually wake up. I do not know what this dream could mean. I am not a dream expert. And frankly, reality is already complicated as it is. No need for me to make it even more so by trying to interpret the secret meaning of a recurrent dream. Anyway, what do I know is that I have another long day ahead of me, so if you excuse me, I better go. Up we go.
Ready to step outside.
masks. Residents should put on their gas masks. They should go to the prepared, closed room, close the room, seal the door, and put the wet cloth on the floor at the base of the door. They should turn on their radios and listen for further civil defense instructions. They should not remove their gas masks. They should not leave the room until further instructions. Residents should not, I repeat, not go to normal bomb shelters, but remain in specially prepared sealed rooms. Alert following a missile attack. Residents are instructed to follow civil defense procedures. They are to don gas masks, go into prepared and closed rooms, seal the door, and listen to the radio for further instructions.
That story was produced in 24 hours in Sardinia by Cristina Marras. Our next story is a radio drama about the road to perfection.
Welcome, Ava. You have entered Eidolon, a simulation where the perfect zone awaits. A paradise crafted from your dreams. But the path to perfection is not without cost. As you descend through the layers, ask yourself, what lies beneath the surface of desire? Let the journey begin. Zone 1. Home. Warm. Familiar.
It's perfect. The sun's shining, the garden's blooming, even my dog's here.
A simulation designed to comfort. Everything you need, everything you love. You may stay, or if you desire more, descend.
More? But this feels real.
The perfect zone lies far below. To reach it, you must leave this behind.
If it's better than this, I have to try.
Zone 2, the mirror maze. Each reflection shows a possibility. A version of you real or imagined.
Why do I look older? Tired? Is this my future?
This is what you'll become, chasing perfection. Every sacrifice leaves its mark.
No, I can handle it. I'll move forward.
You face the truth and move closer to the perfect zone.
This feels wrong.
Zone 3, the abyss. A reflection of what you fear most.
Why keep going? You've already left what matters behind. You'll lose more with every step.
You're lying. The perfect zone is worth it.
Is it? Or are you chasing an illusion?
Flawless victory.
You conquer fear. The path opens.
This is unbelievable. The mansion, the wealth, the admiration. It's everything I ever wanted.
The perfect zone, crafted from your deepest desires. Everything you dreamed of, yours at last.
But it feels empty.
Really? Have you forgotten what you left behind?
Home. I left home for this? It was simpler, warmer.
The perfect zone demands sacrifice. Beneath the surface of perfection lies what was lost.
Maybe I made a mistake.
Perhaps. But the journey is not over. There's more layers to uncover. Do you dare to descend further?
I don't know. I don't know.
The path to perfection is never complete. Beneath the surface lies the unknown. Until next time.
That story was by Keyari Page and sent in all the way from London, UK. Next up, you know when you keep texting someone, but they just don't reply? Yeah.
Hey, John. I just finished my 5K for the day, and guess what? I'm in the city, and I have sushi. I even found a place that does those cute little razor clam ones that you like. Do you want to do lunch? It can be our 4th and a half date. Meal prep for our marathon. Hey, me again. It's starting to rain, and I think the sushi's getting a bit warm. Do you want to come down? I just remembered you've got that investor meeting. Don't worry about replying to me. I'll just leave the sushi at reception and hope there's only one John Murray who's a big exec working in this bank. I don't want some other guy eating our feast. Hey, I'm not sure what's going on. The receptionist said there's no John Murray working here. I even showed her a photo of you and she said she's never seen you. So she's getting someone from your office. You work on the 10th floor, right? Can you call me back? Soon? ASAP? You don't work here, do you? You've been lying to me. They said there's never been a John Murray here. Is this some sort of prank? I hope you're getting a kick out of this. Was anything you said real? Because it's raining now and I don't have an umbrella, and now I've got these 2 giant platters of razor clam sushi and... Okay, you know what? I lied too. I actually hate running. I'm not 32, I'm really 37, and I hate sushi. Fish have feelings, and my childhood best friend was a goldfish. So every time I look at sushi, I think of Bluey, and I can't do it. I can't do it. I hate sushi. I actually really liked you, John. And I'm not afraid to tell you that. But I said those things because I thought that's what big fancy bankers with really nice hair wanted to hear. But let me tell you something. I would have liked John Murray better if he wasn't a banker. He could have been a plumber, a gardener. Okay, maybe not a sushi chef, but if he'd been honest, I would have liked him more. And if I had been honest, he probably would have liked me too. And that is what I really want. I'm sick of pretending. I think I can admit that now. Can you? So, see you later. Not John Murray. And if you ever bother listening to these messages, have a nice fake life. I'm going to be just fine.
That piece of audio fiction was produced by Linda Gao, Kaspar Visser, and B. Fung Ling. Our last story for this episode delves into an underground community that subverts expectations.
At the start of 2024, me and my then fiancé, now wife Sarah, were disconnected from the LGBTQIA+ community. Sarah was newly arrived in Australia from the UK, and I had been uprooted from my life in Melbourne at the start of the pandemic. We are both neurodivergent and neither of us are partying types, so there was limited appeal in dragging ourselves from Camden on the outskirts of Sydney to places like Darlinghurst and Newtown to participate in events that would be socially exhausting and would likely not result in any real connection with the community. Enter the 2024 Mardi Gras and our first introduction to a group called Sydney Quiet Queers. Sarah, can you tell me what you did when we first saw the Quiet Queers float in the parade?
When I first saw the Quiet Queers float at Mardi Gras, I was pleasantly surprised that there were a group of people similar to me that I could potentially join, and I was excited. And I looked them up as soon as I had the chance, and I joined.
I remember seeing their pitch in their Facebook About section and getting really excited. It asked, "Are you a Sydney LGBTQI+ member who prefers a bookshop to a nightclub? This group is for you." And I was instantly sold. Sarah and I were far from the only ones who saw the Quiet Queers float at Mardi Gras and felt like we had been seen.
We had a huge amount of people join straight after Mardi Gras, probably about 500 in the 2 to 3 weeks after Mardi Gras. It was, really quite intense there. So yes, we did have large amounts. So I think that it did make people go, oh yeah, there is a group for us, which is good.
That is Diane Van Dolken, founder of Sydney Quiet Queers, who also happens to have 95,000 TikTok followers, and is known for her series recommending classical music based on popular music preferences and live videos where she crochets while interacting with her audience. Diane's TikTok presence helped the group get established, as Quiet Queers member Paris explains.
So I'd been following Diane on TikTok for a few years, and then she started talking about doing some Quiet Queers events, and I kind of thought, okay, this is incredible because my health had declined and I wasn't able to go to parties to meet a lot more queer people as I usually had been.
Although it wasn't Diane's intention when she formed the group, Quiet Queers has become a haven for members of the LGBTQIA+ community who struggle in stereotypical queer social environments.
The first event that I went to was a picnic. It was in Sydney Park, and there was a diverse group of people. Everyone that I met was lovely because I was anxious. I'm a very anxious person and I was very nervous. But I got there and everyone put me at ease. Everyone was so friendly, and I have made many friends just from that first event. And I'm glad that I put my anxiety and nervousness aside and that I went, because it has changed my life for the better.
I realized I'm neurodivergent, and I realized that I struggle to focus talking to people in party settings. Mostly because it's so exhausting. Oh my God. But also at the same time, it's like I don't really want to have to party 24/7 just to meet people part of the queer community. I feel like there's more to life than just going to parties, and I feel like everyone's in the same boat, but there's no, prior to Quiet Queers, there were no events that actually facilitated that was specifically a safe space for queer people. Yeah, it was very groundbreaking. Very groundbreaking.
I'm neurodivergent too. As I've gotten older and more comfortable with myself and with being neurodivergent, I found myself less and less drawn to spaces in which I have to mask in order to fit in. Having Quiet Queers be such a neurodivergent friendly space removes a lot of the pressure and the exhaustion that socialization can bring.
I call myself a omnivert, where I'm actually an introvert, but I do a lot of work in extrovert spaces, and I can mask as an extrovert if I need to, but I find it really exhausting. So it doesn't actually really surprise me that other people are who are neurodivergent are in similar situations where they want to actually have a place that really resonates with them.
The need for a group like Quiet Queers in the Sydney LGBTQI landscape has been embraced by Mardi Gras organisers too.
So Mardi Gras itself, the Mardi Gras group has been very excited about this. They've basically gone, I think this is something that we need as part of our Mardi Gras festival. We don't have anything like this. It would be good to have something like this. I will admit it makes me a little bit nervous because I've got no idea how many people are going to turn up to this picnic. So it could be anywhere from 20 to 2,000, and it's very, very bit nerve-wracking to sort of try to judge how many people are likely to come and organise things for an unknown number of people. But I think it will be a really good thing because Mardi Gras can be incredibly intense. And so it will be, and even like Fair Day is a wonderful day, but it's just so busy and it is really, really intense. So this is just a day where you turn up with your picnic stuff, and we're going to have little regions, so like a reading region or a gaming region or a crafting region or a chatting region, and just come up and bring your picnic stuff and just hang for an afternoon and have a bit of a peaceful break from the rest of craziness that is Mardi Gras.
While Quiet Queers is a wonderful thing, it's not perfect. Events are typically held in the city and in the West, which can be a barrier to participation.
Oh, realistically, I've only been to like 2 or 3 events. Part of that being is that my health makes it hard for me to travel into the inner West all the time. And it's definitely something that I want to do more of. I think looking at the like online community and being involved in some of the like chats and all of that, it's just such a wholesome place. Definitely something I recommend getting more involved in to anyone listening. Like, it's honestly really, really incredible.
However, it is members of Quiet Queers themselves who are providing the solution by forming subgroups in the larger Quiet Queers community that are focused on specific geographic regions or niche interests.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is what I always hoped would happen. So I am aware that, like, we have people from all over Sydney in the Blue Mountains, even up to Newcastle and Wollongong. And it's a big commitment for them to do things like come into the city or come into the inner West. And so I'm really hopeful that they'll be able to form communities in their own community, because one of the things is we are absolutely everywhere, but people don't realise that, because one of the things about being quiet is you don't tend to be, you're pretty much invisible most times. And I think there's a real longing for people in your community who are like you. We're not a dating group or anything like that, but I think, you want to find community of people who you resonate with. And I think that's a universal need, to find a community of people you resonate with. And so while we'll have the official groups and events sort of places that I know, because I can't be sure that somewhere in Hornsby, for example, is going to be quiet enough and be accessible enough and things like that. But people who live there absolutely can know the spots to go.
In addition to creating a sense of community that many of its members were sorely lacking, Quiet Queers is also creating a sense of safety, especially among members who live outside of queer hotspots.
It also makes people feel more safe moving further out west. I talk to a lot of people who don't feel comfortable holding their partner's hand or showing any kind of PDA further out in Western Sydney. But then with the expansion of Quiet Queers and knowing that it exists and knowing that more people want to do more events further out west, it's really starting to shift people's mindsets. And for the first time in a long time, I feel safe, relatively safe, but more safe, walking down like the streets of Para and other places in Western Sydney looking gay as hell. That's quite revolutionary for me. I didn't think I would see a Sydney where that would be possible.
Not bad for a group that was started on what amounts to a DAO.
Okay, so Quiet Queers was founded after a discussion on TikTok with a friend of mine who ironically is a very out there twink. He was basically complaining about lack of the gay places diminishing, and I was like, you have plenty of places. What we don't have is places or communities for people like me who are quiet. And he was like, well, why don't you do something about that thing? And I was like, oh, yeah, he's actually got a point. I've got capacity to do that. So that's basically the reason why Quiet Queers got started, because I was dared to by an out there twink.
That story was produced by Jac Hope. In this episode, you also heard stories from Cristina Marras, Keyari Page, Linda Gao, Kaspar Visser, and Fung Ling. Congratulations to all of the makers who took part. We'll be playing more stories from our 24-hour radio race in upcoming episodes. Can't wait? Come hang out with us early for an online listening party on the 11th of December at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can register via the Humanitics link in our show notes. If you want to keep hearing stories by cool emerging audio makers, then support our show. Click follow or subscribe on the All the Best podcast, or listen live on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. on FBI Radio, or wherever you find us on the Community Radio Network. All the Best would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we make these stories and pay our respects to elders past and present. All the Best is made at FBI Radio on Gadigal land, in association with SYN and 3RRR on Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung lands, and 8CCC on Arunde and Warramungu lands. We're heard across Australia on the Community Radio Network, and we're made possible by the Art Gallery of New South Wales and the Community Broadcasting Foundation. I'm Madhura Prakash. Thanks for listening.